UFC Fight Night Fiziev versus Torres takes place this weekend in Baku, Azerbaijan. And I'm going to be going through the entire card, starting with the early prelims and ending with the main event, giving you my entire picks, predictions, and bets. And listen, I know I've been inactive. I know I missed last weekend's card. But here's the thing. If you follow me on Instagram, if you follow me on TikTok, I dropped a quick full cards prediction where I went 10 for 12. And I even picked the two biggest underdogs in Gaston Bolanos and Kevin Borjas to pull off the upset. I don't know how I managed to get both those right. But hey, lazy MMA, lazy analysis series results were fucking locked in. I do have to excuse my absence though, because behind the scenes, I got some crazy content coming out for you guys. That interview I had with Kajan Johnson, unreal. I interviewed him for about an hour. We fought for about 15 minutes while I insulted him and tried to rage bait him. And yeah, he really kicked the shit out of me. But let's just go right to the fights and let's go off to the early prelim opener of Tahir Adubailev versus Jefferson Nascimento. And I gotta go with the Brazilian. I know. I'm starting off hot. I went straight into it without even giving any analysis because here's the thing, man. Both of these guys, this is their debut into the UFC. Both of these guys are young prospects. Both these guys should have been on the Dana White's Contender Series, but Tahir is the hometown hero, so of course they had to put it on the Baku card. But here's the thing. Tahir, 21-3. Huge, jacked guy, hometown hero. He should be the clear pick here, but here's the thing. That 21-3 is a very misleading record because if you look through his career, man, it's just a bunch of cans. It's a bunch of unexperienced opposition, and I don't think you can be in the UFC without going through the ringer a little bit, without fighting a diverse set of opponents, facing some adversity, maybe some grappling-esque fighters, some strikers, etc. Tahir has just been can crushing on the regional scene. But on the side of Jefferson Nascimento, he's 13-0, he's 26 years old, and he's been fighting legit competition. And he comes out of the Brazil on the Ranvajo fight team, and I just think he's going to be a step ahead of Tahir here. I think that Jefferson is a mixed martial artist that has fought through adversity, that has experienced a variety of different opponents, a variety of different skill levels. And I just think he's a step above Tahir. I think Tahir, if he can finish this fight, it'll be in the first round because he does throw bombs. He is in his hometown. He'll be hyped and could try to get him out in the first. But the longer this fight goes, the second, the third, I expect Jefferson to really start implementing his mixed martial arts, his grappling, his jiu-jitsu, his ground and pound, dig into the body, mixing it up. And I just think he's got too many weapons. He's got a better gas tank and he's got better reputation and competition under his belt. And I think for that reason, we have to go with Jefferson to secure himself a late third round finish or a decision. And for the next fight of the night, we have Beksat Alkaman taking on Jean Masamoto. Now listen, I have some comments about this fight. I understand why people are picking Beksat, and I understand the hype around him. But I kind of think he's a little bit of a name merchant. Dude, he fought Umar where he stung him in the first, but then proceeded to get smudged for the remaining of the rounds. Then he came in and fought Alexandre Topuria, where he had his moments. He really did. But he got dropped. He kind of got beaten around when it came into the later rounds. Alexander secured himself a UD. But on the side of Jean Masamoto, man, he's also lost too. You know, he lost to Basharat in his last fight, where it was a really close fight, where some people even were making an argument that Jean did better than most people thought. And prior to that, he lost against Rob Font by split decision, where everyone thinks he was robbed. I don't want to pick Jean because I really do believe in Beksat's striking. I really do believe in his crisp boxing, his ability to dig to the body and then go up top, his ability to fight off the back foot, his recovery and the adversity he's faced. I do want to pick Beksat, and I will. But here's the thing. I want everyone to tread lightly because Jean Masamoto, man, in his last fight against Basra, and I understand he lost. I understand he got beaten up a little bit. Basrat's the longer man. He's the rangier man. Jean struggles with that. But even then, even when he's getting pieced up, even when Basrat had established that jab, he never gave up on himself. He's tried to switch it up. He tried to make adjustments. He introduced takedowns. He has really crisp boxing and really crisp leg kicks. And he was a dog until the end. He fought for his life. And so he's the type of guy that's not going to give up on himself in this fight. So even though he might find adversity in the first, he's the type of guy that can make those adjustments in the second, in the third, and drag this fight long and maybe win it on the scorecards. He really is a legit prospect. He's just been dealt a bad set of cards where he's been faced with a lot of stronger opponents. But, you know, Beksat, I got to pick him, and I got to pick him by decision because Jean's too tough to fucking go out, in my personal opinion. But I would be weary, man. I really would be weary. So I do think this line in this fight is priced properly. On Tapology, it shows plus 130, but since then, a lot of love has come in on the side of Beksat, so he's a minus 115. So I'll tread lightly, but I'm going to go with Beskat Alkaman to win this fight by decision. Now let's move on to the next fight of the night. Daniil Danichenko takes on Theodor Bergan. Now listen, I gotta hate Benil by extension because Rodrigo Senzanado, the tough series finalist, he's my boy. He trains at Lions MMA in Vancouver, BC, and he was our hometown hero, and he got slimed out by Daniil. So I gotta hate Daniil, but irrelevant to all that, I gotta pick Daniil, and I gotta pick him by vicious knockout in the first round. Listen, man, I did a little bit of research into Theodore. He's from Sweden. He's fought some cans on the regional scene. He lost twice in his last 5. He's taken this fight in on short notice. I think he's taking it for maybe the money, maybe to try to make himself a name, but I don't know why anyone in their right mind would fight Daniil on short notice. Daniil, he's so violent. He's also a really, really good expression of Muay Thai within mixed martial arts. You know, he's really fundamental within the Muay Thai compartment. And I think where Daniil's really going to exceed here is the clinch, man. Daniil's got a disgusting clinch. He rips to the body. And I think once he hurts Theodore and makes him drop his hands, elbows, crosses, leg kicks, he's just going to pick him apart and just find that shot. And I think he's going to fuck Theodore up. And I think it's going to be a spectacular knockout in round 1. There's nothing much for me else to say, to be honest with you. And I'm excited to see where Daniil's career goes because he's an exciting welterweight and he's only 24. He's got a long road ahead of him, man. He's got a long career ahead of him. And I look forward to this fucking slime out on Saturday night. Now, listen, let's move on to the next fight of the night. I know that was quick. It was fucking Daniil. Come on. But the next fight of the night, we have Khan Olfi versus Javier Reyes. Now, I'm looking at you like this because how is Javier still managing to win fights? He swings from his waist. He's not the most technically sound. He doesn't really mix up his strikes. Sticks to the boxing compartment. His grappling's all right. Like, he has really good counter grappling and jiu-jitsu, but his wrestling is ass. He almost got knocked out by Douglas Silver de Andrade in his last fight, who was like 38 years old and not the greatest. I'm going to pick Khan Olfi here. I was going to sit here and start talking about Khan Olfi, but I don't understand how Javier keeps winning fights. I don't think he's particularly skillfully sound. Khan Olfi has great boxing where he can match Javier Reyes in the boxing department. But even when Khan Olfi finds trouble in the boxing department, if Javier Reyes is able to utilize his range well, I think that Khan Olfi is just a more well-rounded mixed martial artist. And he's the type of guy that makes the adjustments in the fights. You know, Khan Olfi, he's 3-2 in his last 5. He lost against Muhammad Naimov, which is a fair loss. It was a close fight too, in my personal opinion, even though they gave Muhammad Naimov a UD. And he got KO'd by Marian Santos, one of the hottest prospects in the featherweight division right now. And since then, though, he put together 2 nice wins over Ricardo Ramos by submission and Yiza by majority decision. I just think that Khan Olfi is a better mixed martial artist here. Javier Reyes, he's got dog, he's got reach, he's got power in his hands, but I just don't think he's really technically sound, you know? It's not a statement on his character, but a statement of his skill, and his last performance really showed to me that he's not UFC level, you know? Maybe he's bottom of the barrel UFC level, but Khan Olfi is a legit UFC prospect. And so I gotta pick Khan Olfi here. They're similar in age, they're similar in height, they're similar in reach. And just on the skill department alone, I have to pick Khan Olfi here, and I have to pick him by decision. No, I got to pick him by decision here. I was going to say late 3rd round finish by, piece him up or whatever, but I got to pick Khan Olfi here by being the better mixed martial artist and implementing the grappling, chopping out that leg, popping out his jab, and securing himself a decision. Now, let's move on to the next fight of the night. We have Nursultan Ruzoboyev versus Andrei Pulaev. Man, I'm fucking hyped. For the people that really know guys outside of the rankings, this is a serious hardcore fans fight. Nursultan Ruzoboyev, man. Nursultan Black Ruzoboyev, he is legit. He's a serious prospect. His only loss in the UFC comes to the rank number 9, Joaquin Buckley. And on the side of Pulaev, he's not really had an opportunity to make a statement in the UFC yet. He lost against CLD by decision. Came back and won against Nick Klein by KO, where Nick Klein was doing really well in the first. But then they gave him the matchup of doom. They gave him a Tiba fucking Gutier. And here's the thing. I think this fight is lying closer than it should be because of that fight against Atiba, because everyone's like, but he lost. But the fact that he took Atiba to a decision, people were talking about how Andrei Pulaev is a legit fighter. It was the first legit fighter that Atiba fought and so forth. But man, it seems like people have got amnesia, because the only reason he took him out to the third is because he fought off the back foot and was circling around the cage, but he got dropped terribly in the first. And Atiba tried to finish him, couldn't, and then this guy just dragged it out, fought off his back foot, and lost the UD. Credit to him. It's Atiba Gutier. The fact that you didn't go out is super respectable. But I didn't see anything in that fight where I'm just like, okay, I see you surviving. I see that you are durable. I see that you are tough. But what are you doing offensively for me to say that you're legit? On the side of Nursultan Orzaboyev, man, this guy's a fucking freak. I have no idea why he's making 185. He's huge. He's so fucking tall. He's got great grappling. He's got real power in his hands. The only con about him is he's a little bit stiff. You know what I mean? Where Pulaev is very light on his feet and will be able to circle around the cage and maybe pick shots at Orzaboyev and make this into a harder fight than it should be. But I think that Orzaboyev, man, he's eventually going to find that timing. He's eventually going to force Pulaev again, on his back foot. Pulaev will accept the position off his back foot because he's confident of fighting off his back foot. But once he's forced up against the cage, Nursultan has serious grappling, man. He's got some serious fucking grappling. And I think that he's going to be able to take him down, land ground and pound, maybe go for a sub, or maybe just wear him down, gas him out, and smudge him for 3 rounds. I think that Nursultan's grappling offensive capabilities are going to be way too much for Pulaev. And when it comes to Pulaev, he really is a body kick merchant because he likes to utilize his length, but Nursultan is not a short guy. He's not a guy you're going to be just able to pick apart from range, because he's going to be able to pick you apart from range. And Nursultan, man, he doesn't dictate the body with like switch kicks, but he has mean teeps. And as I said, man, the fact that Andrei Pulaev accepts the back foot position and the fact that Nursultan rips out teeps really has Andrei Pulaev against the cage in my mind. And I think that Nursultan's going to clinch up with him, take him down, rip to the body, and either find himself a finish in the 3rd round after facing some adversity, or a 29-28 unanimous decision victory. I just think the first round is going to be hard for Nursultan, but after that, we're going to see him do some mean things to Pulaev. Now, let's move on to the next fight of the night. We have Abdul Rahman Yekhayev versus Julius Walker. Abdul. Didn't even finish the names. Abdul. Julius Juicebox Walker is coming off that devastating KO loss against Dustin Jacoby. But granted, that's Dustin Jacoby, kickboxing aficionado, power in his hands. But that's Dustin Jacoby at the same time. Abdul Rahman Yekhayev has came in and won 2 fights in spectacular dominant fashion by submission in the first round. And even in his first fight, he showed the entirety of mixed martial arts within the span of 30 seconds. He popped a 1-2, head kick and dropped to Rafael Sequeira, then subbed him. It was disgusting. And he's only 25. And I know it says he's Turkish, but he's not Turkish. He's from fucking Dagestan. Come on, guys. Come on. Abdul Rahman Yekhayev. You know what I mean. But, you know, Julius Walker is going to have the size advantage in this fight. Julius Walker is a mean grappler of himself. I think that he's very offensively sound in grappling. I don't know how he's going to do with the defense of the grappling, though, because Rahman Yekhayev, man, Julius Walker has shown that his chin is very susceptible to being hurt. And I can just see Abdul doing what he always does, which is hurting his opponents on the feet, dropping them, and not allowing them to recover, pouncing on them and locking up the sub. And even though Julius Walker is known for his grappling, and he's mean, and he's big, and he's strong, I don't think that's going to matter in this fight, man. I think Rahman Yekhayev is really going to be able to get past the range of Julius Walker, hurt him, force him up against the cage, drop him, find himself a sub in late first round, maybe early second. Because Julius Walker is big, and it'll be hard to find his range. But that's the only reason why I think it'll take him more time than instantaneous, is that he has to figure out the range. But other than that, I'm all over Rahman Yekhayev in this fight. Pause. And him being a minus 400, kind of warranted, to be honest with you. And now let's move on to the next fight of the night. We have Farman Hassanov versus Eric Nolan. Bro, everybody and their mom is picking Eric Nolan as an underdog to come out here and win, because I would say he is the better mixed martial artist. He is the more well-experienced fighter. He does have more cardio, but Farman Hassanov, the Lion, he's got some serious power in his hands. And he's mean in the first round. He is a first-round merchant, though. See, I want to pick him to win this fight, and I'm going to pick him to win this fight by KO in the first round, because I expect him to come out there. And Eric Nolan's a little bit of a bitch when you really take the fight to him and not make it a clean MMA fight. He's very hittable. He kind of accepts being hit to try to set up shots, and I don't think that you want to accept any shots from Farman, because Farman has some fucking cinder blocks, and he throws each shot with devastating intent, and that could play well to him by knocking out Eric Nolan in the first round, or it could play bad to him. And this is something that I really want to bring up. It's a serious concern, is that Foreman has terrible cardio, and the fact is his style does not help that whatsoever. And I wouldn't be surprised that if Eric Nolan can survive the first and drag it later using his mixed martial arts and using his grappling, because it's ironic, we think about these Middle Eastern guys always having grappling advantage. He does not this time. Foreman does not have the grappling advantage. Eric Nolan 100% has the grappling advantage. Former D3 wrestler. He has I think he's like a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and I think that he can utilize tools to try to drag this fight long. But if he can't get Foreman off of him in the first or gain Foreman's respect, Foreman's going to put his lights out in the first. So I'm going to lock in Foreman Hassanov by KO in the first round, but I would watch out for Eric Nolan to finish him in the rounds 2 and 3. I really would, man. I really would. Moving on to the next fight of the night, we have Abus Magomedov versus Michael Olszejczyk. And listen, oh my fucking goodness. This is the fight I've been tossing and turning about all week. This is the fight that everyone's been saying, Michael Olszejczyk plus 100, that's free money. But the more I think about it, the more I ask myself, is that free money though? Because I understand, listen, I understand. Abus has 1 round cardio. Abus gives up on himself when things aren't going his way. You know, look at that fight against Strickland. Like, he was winning the first and he gassed down the second and just accepted the loss. I understand he hasn't made any improvements to his gas tank since then. You know, people will bring up the Mikel Pereira fights where they went the distance, or where it was a fucking terrible fight. But there's only one weapon Abus has here that I seriously want people to consider, and that is the grappling department. Listen, Michael Olszejczyk, people are going to tell me right now before I even say anything, hey, he's training with the Fighting Nerds, he's training with the Brazilian gym, he left his boxing gym, he's training with a serious mixed martial arts gym, and he's put together the grappling, blah, 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 but we haven't seen that yet. And let me drop some fucking ball knowledge on you. Every single loss of Michael Olszejczyk, every single loss has been way of submission. And I'm scared that Abus is going to just try to grapple him here. I really do think Abus has a solid chance of subbing Mikel, because Mikel still shows the grappling deficiencies in his fights, you know? But with all that said and the concerns out the way, I got to pick my boy Mikel Olszejczyk to finish Abus Magomedov in the second or third round. Or he might just pepper him from range. But listen, let me tell you why I think he's going to finish him. Because as I said, Abus gives up on himself. As I said, Abus has no cardio. And Michael, credit to him, he has great cardio. He picks his shots, and his volume doesn't drop when he goes into the later rounds. And even that pop in his shots, maybe 10-15% goes down, but he's still got that serious fucking power, man. He really does. I think he will face some adversity in the first, but I think as we go into the second, as he finds his jab range, he's going to be able to back Abus up. I think he's going to be able to rip to Abus's body, because Abus is really weak in the body, and I think he's going to be able to wear him down, pick him apart, and land that KO shot. It's not going to be a spectacular boom KO out of nowhere. It's going to be a dismantling, and I think Abus is the perfect guy to dismantle. He tried to dismantle my boy, fucking Marc-Andre Barrios, but you know, he's got that Canadian toughness to him. But if he came out and fought the way he did against Marc-Andre Barrios against Abus, 100% I could see a finish here. Abus is really finishable, man, especially if you break him down rather than looking for that one big shot. And I think Michael's going to do that there. Mikel, with the Fighting Nerds, with the strategic game plan that they always come out with, is going to be too much for Abus. And I think he's going to knock out Abus Magomedov in the second or third round on Saturday night. Now let's move on to the next fight of the night. We have Bruno Ferreira taking on Ikram Alaskerov. I'm looking away because I'm about to say something that no one's been saying, that people are really undervaluing, and that's fucking the Hulk, Bruno Ferreira. I'm picking Bruno Ferreira to win this fight because of Ikram's last fight. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm picking Ikram to lose because of his KO losses. I'm sitting here saying I'm picking Ikram to lose because of his win against Jung Young Park, where he looked beyond human. He not only did he look human, I thought to myself, I was like, this is supposed to be a serious contender. And I get that Jung Young Park has phenomenal grappling of his own, and you could say that, but Ikram, man, these Dagestanis are known to have, he's Chechen. These Chechens and Dagestanis are known to have crazy cardio, but his cardio did not look crazy. And when we came into the second or third and his grappling wasn't like 100% working and he was forced to be standing, he looked really vulnerable on the feet. And it's weird because when he came into the UFC, like against his fight against Warley Alves, he looked like he was more of a standing fighter than he was a grappler, where he came out, zero respect, dig into the body, leg kick, flying knee, boom, 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 boom. But when his opponent isn't like a trash can, he faces adversity, he seems to get flustered. I really do think he seems to get flustered. And on the side of Bruno Ferreira, man, he's kind of the perfect guy to fucking chin Ikram Aliskerov. Because Bruno Ferreira, man, everyone knows, dynamite in his hands. Serious dynamite in his hands. He's fast as fuck. Little undersized for middleweight, but I think that's going to be good for this matchup because they're roughly the same height. 2-inch difference is not a big deal because he's 5'10". Bruno Ferreira is used to fighting guys 6'3", 6'4". Like his last fight was against Gregory Robocop Rodriguez, and he knocked out Gregory Robocop Rodriguez years before. So the fact that these guys are equal height, the fact that Bruno doesn't have to figure out the range, the fact that Bruno just has to worry about the grappling, and the fact that Ikram's been chinned violently twice makes me think that Bruno Ferreira has a serious fucking chance of chinning Ikram Aliskerov. And man, fuck the grappling. Bruno Ferreira is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He can get grapple fucked, and I do worry about Bruno Ferreira's cardio. But if Bruno Ferreira is able to shuck Ikram off, force him standing, and make him uncomfortable, he's gonna land that knockout shot. I'm telling you, when I see Ikram fight, Ikram's like skills that I doubt, it's Ikram's ability to deal with adversity. You know, every time I've seen him win or lose, fights start not going his way, he's not calm in the cage. He's kind of panicking. He's running off his back foot, trying to get away from his opponent. Like, look at that knockout loss against Robert Whittaker. He was just trying to get away from him instead of being smart, thoughtful, maybe trying to do a panic takedown, force him against the cage to recover, do something else. He tried to run away from him, and, you know, Whittaker found that uppercut and chinned him in the first round, I think it was the second round. So I got to go with Bruno Ferreira here, and I got to go with him by knockout. And the fact that he's a plus 185 underdog is a complete disrespect, and I think it's entirely due to recency bias, and I think he's going to shock the world on Saturday night. Now, let's move on to the next fight of the night. We have Asu Ambalaya versus Charles Johnson. We all know who Charles Johnson is. Energy. If you want to become a top prospect in the flyweight division, if you want to become fucking champion, you got to fight Charles Johnson. You got to get knocked out because that's exactly what has happened. It's kind of like a weird curse for Charles Johnson because he just got removed from the fucking rankings. Dirty. And the guy he knocked out not even 2 years ago is now the champ. And another guy he knocked out not even a year ago is now in the top 5. And he's not even in the fucking rankings. I feel bad for Charles Johnson because he's fighting Asu Ambalayev. And listen, man, Charles Johnson, he can knock any of these flyweights out, and he's got the reach, he's got the length, he's the better striker here. Come on, bro, let's cut the shit here. But Asu Ambalayev, man, relentless grappler. He also goes for heavy ground and pound. He's also really quick to hop on a sub, and he's trying to finish his opponents. And he's fast. He's got cardio. That's something that Charles Johnson likes to exploit. Like, you know, Kavanaugh came out too fast in the first, and in the second, Charles exploited that. But Ambalayev's not going to do that. I think Charles Johnson does have a chance to knock him out because it's fucking Charles Johnson, but I don't think he will. I got to pick Asu Ambalayev here, and I got to pick him by submission. Listen, man, Charles Johnson, he also got knocked out by Alex Perez when he had that big opportunity to get seriously into the rankings. And the reason, I would say partly it was because of his own, like, you know, arrogance and cockiness, but, you know, him getting chinned and showing how susceptible he is to being hurt, I could see Asu Ambalayev hurting Charles Johnson, taking him down and subbing him. I don't think he's going to be ignorant and give Charles Johnson an opportunity to recover. I think if he stings, not even drops him, if he just stings Charles Johnson, blast the double, get to his back, sub him. Asu Ambalayev is too relentless, too powerful, too quick for Charles Johnson. And Charles Johnson is only getting older, man. He's 35 years old, on the verge of turning 36 in the flyweight division. He's gone through some wars. He's been around forever. He's kind of been declining, to be honest with you. Even that win against Bruno Silva in his last win, it looked bad. It really did. You know, Bruno Silva is a real contender, and he's a real fighter. You know, like, I'm not saying it's a bad person to lose to. I'm just saying he looked terrible. And it sucks because I really like Charles Johnson. He's fucking cool, man. He's fucking cool. I love the skullet, man. He's so sick, man. But these grapplers, man, it's going to be too much for Charles Johnson. So we got to lock in Asu Ambalayev by submission. We're going to lock him in by submission in the second round. All right, let's go to the next fight of the night. Oh my God, dude, this card is so fucking stacked. Nazim Sadikov takes on Mateus Camelo. Listen, Sadikov by fucking murder. He's a minus 220, but in reality, he's a minus 500 in this matchup. Listen, I understand what people are going to bring up, and that's his last fight where he low-key got smushed against Fares Ziam, where he got picked apart from range, and then Fares Ziam introduced the grappling and then subbed him. But here's the thing, he never gave up on himself in that fight. He was trying to get past that range, and Fares Ziam, he's a uniquely built lightweight, man. He's one of the tallest lightweights. He's super lanky and super long. Super lanky and super tall. And Nazim was not able to get past the range. But in every other fight, man, Nazim has not only finished his opponents, but in the fight prior to that, Nicholas Mota and him had the fucking fight of the year contender where he was almost fucking out in the first round. But he came back against adversity and fucking killed Mota. And I think that's what's going to happen here. I don't think he faces any adversity, though. I think Hometown Hero is going to come out there, be the more violent person, force Mateus Camelo against the cage, and knock him out in the first. Mateus Camelo has been in the UFC for about a year now, and his first fight was his first loss, and it was against Gabe Green. Sit with that for a second here. There's some people actually out here saying that Mateus Camelo is a sneaky underdog. No, the fuck he isn't. I'm telling you, bro. This is the one person on this card that I could say without a doubt in my mind is an absolute lock, and that is Nazim Sadikov, the Black Wolf. And I think that not only does he finish Camelo, I think he finishes him in fucking spectacular, violent fashion in the first round by forcing Camelo up against the cage, landing elbows, chopping at that leg, ripping to the body, making him drop his hands. And that's what Nazim likes to do. He likes to go for the 3-3, which is liver. Then as Mixie drops his hands, he goes back up top and finds that KO shot. I fucking love Nazim Sadikov. I don't think he's a legit prospect in the lightweight division, maybe like bottom 15, but he's just so sick, dude. He's so fucking sick. And I think he's going to finish Camelo in the first round. Now, let's move on to the co-main event of the evening. Mikel Pereira takes on Sharabut and Magomedov, baby. This is a fire matchup. I'm a big fan of both these guys, even though both these guys are not particularly good in my personal opinion, and I'll get to that because I can see the hate comments already. Both these guys are super entertaining, whether they die, even though Sharabult's only lost once, whether Mikel Pereira dies. It's more Mikel Pereira. Whether he dies or wins, he's fucking in there giving you a show. And listen, I'm gonna pick Shara to win this fight. I'm gonna pick him by KO, but Shara can lose this fight, man. I think he's extremely overrated. I think he's super mispriced. I don't think he should be a minus 350, especially after that performance he had against my fucking boy, Marc-Andre Barriault. Sorry, I forgot his name for a second. Oh, the disrespect, man. He's from Ottawa. I go to school in Ottawa. That's my dog. It's my fucking dog. But here's the thing, dude. He did not look particularly impressive in that fight. Marc-Andre Barriault didn't look really hurt. He looked like he was falling behind on the jabs and the leg kicks. Sure, he was getting pieced apart. I would say he was getting picked apart from range, but he didn't look like Sharabullet had that power in his hands. Sharabullet never has looked like he's had that serious power in his hands. A lot of his knockouts, if you look at him, bro, they're cumulative knockout shots. Like even the Andre Petrosian one, the double spinning backhand. Andre Petrosian wasn't fully out, but everyone kind of like accepted like he's done for, and that was later. And his only other KO is against that Brazilian guy who was dating Mackenzie Dern, who's literally in the UFC for only dating Mackenzie Dern. I'm trying to remember his name. He's buns. He's so cheeks. Oh yeah, Antio Tricoli. And in that fight, man, like that was his first finish in the UFC, bro. And it was just because Tricoli's a bitch, and it's kind of like a standing TKO, man. It was accumulative shots, and Sharpwood. That's why I'm picking him to beat him by Mikel Pereira by KO, because Mikel Pereira has no chin. However, dude, Shara is not the most powerful puncher, so I wouldn't be surprised if Mikel Pereira's chin is able to hold up. And on top of that, dude, Shara himself is also really hittable. Like Marc-Andre Barriault fucking shattered Sharabullet's nose. He fucking shattered it. And that's just because Sharabullet is so in and out. He's so bouncy. He's so dynamic. He's so flashy that I think he leaves openings for people to catch him. And I think if Mikel Pereira isn't a complete fucking retard, which he 100% is, he would just bulldoze into Sharabullet Magomedov and try to grapple him. Sharabullet Magomedov, man, like, he's been doing these grappling events. Some people think he has great grappling. He doesn't. Arman Tsarukyan, even though it was a draw, because that's what these Russian federations do, but even though it was a draw, Arman Tsarukyan was like taking him down at will and throwing him around. And this guy's supposed to be 2 weight divisions bigger than him. That's him. And people are like, oh, but Arman's a grappler and he's not. But guys, they're UFC fighters. They should be able to grapple at a high level. And weight matters when you're fucking like 50 pounds heavier than the guy. And let's say less grappling than him, you're still 50 pounds heavier than the fucking guy. You know what I mean? But Mikel Pereira, he's looked terrible. He's looked fucking terrible. He was on a lose streak of 3 until he put together his first win against Zachary's by split decision, where it was terrible. Mikel Pereira at one point was really exciting, but I think it's all the growth hormone, to be honest with you. I think this guy's on a lot of steroids. That's completely destroyed his cardio. He's no longer the flashy balls to the wall striker that he once was. He tries to do this new karate bounce in and out of style, and it's not been working for him. And if he tries to play the range game with Shara Bullet Magomedov, you're going to get picked apart, bro. And Mikel Pereira is just too retarded to win this fight. He's got no cardio. He's got power in his hands. He doesn't really use his grappling, but he has it. But Shara Bullet, they're the same age, but Shara Bullet's the faster man. He has more cardio, more dynamic. He mixes it up better, and he picks his shots better than Mikel Pereira. Mikel Pereira likes to wing shots to get the knockout shot. And as I said previously, Shara Bullet, even those KOs come from accumulation of shots, it shows that he consistently lands on his opponents. And Mikel Pereira is super hittable, has no cardio. Maybe he gives Shara Bullet a tough first round. I think the Shara Bullet's going to be able to pick him apart from range and find himself a knockout in the late second or early third round. Now let's move on to the main event of the evening. That was a long sigh, long hesitation, because Rafael Fiziev is taking on El Loco Manuel Torres in the main event, and I fucking love both these guys. Rafael Fiziev was one of the first guys in the UFC where I'm like, that guy's so fucking cool. I love him because he's a really great display of Muay Thai in the UFC, and I'm a big fan of Muay Thai. And a lot of people don't even know this. Rafael Fiziev is the head striking coach at Tigers Muay Thai in Thailand, so he does train a lot of other UFC fighters. He's a great coach, man. He really is, and he's a great Muay Thai specialist. But he's fighting Manuel Loco Torres. Before I get to that, I want to talk about some things. Listen, Rafael Fiziev, I think he's undersized for lightweight. He's jacked, sure, but he's short, man. He looks like a featherweight. His body type in general, his height, his muscles, his dimensions, his frame, it reminds me of a guy like Movsar Evelaev, where I just think that Fiziev is just not in his weight class. He really isn't. He's a featherweight. And he has found success in this weight class because of how talented he is and how great he is at mixing it up and how he picks his shots. He's very intelligent. He's got great cardio. He's got great self-belief. He's also got really good counter wrestling. Like, look at his fights against Gaethje. He even took down Gaethje, and everything about him is great. But in his last fight, he got murdered. He got laid out cold by Mauricio Rufy, where he was finding success in the first by trying to break down Rufy, by chopping out his leg, forcing him against the cage, timing his shots, being the more active fighter. But inevitably, Rufy found that knockout shot and chinned him bad. I think that this is a really quick turnaround after that knockout of his, to be honest with you. I think it's a really, really quick turnaround. And he's fighting a guy in Manuel Torres where he has a similar build to Rufy, man. Manuel Torres has serious power in his hands. He's tall, he's rangy, he's lanky, and it's a terrible matchup for Fiziev. Now, I'm enough talking about Fiziev's pros and cons. Before I move on to actually one last thing, I'm fucking sick and tired of the Fiziev disrespect. UC 1-4 in his last 5. It was against Mauricio Rufy, 2 times against Justin Gaethje, and one of them was an injury. So I don't want to fucking hear it, man. This guy's legit, and he's still in there. And I can see this guy still beating a bunch of the top 10 guys. It's all about styles making fights, though. And he's taking on Manuel Torres, and that's why I think that this is a bad stylistic matchup, because Manuel Torres, man, 31 years old. He's just coming into his own. He's El Loco. He's putting together great, disgusting knockout wins. He's coming off 2 knockout wins. One against Drew Dober, who's got the fucking granite chin. And the other one being against Grant Dawson, where he was a plus 260 underdog, and I fucking hammered him, baby. But other than that, the only loss he's had of recent times was against Ignacio Bajo Mendez in the first round. But that's another extremely tall and lanky, rangy guy. Fiziev is going to try to pick apart at Torres. Fiziev, that's his way to win. Chop at the leg. Maybe even introduce the grappling to throw him off. Break him down and start being more violent in the later rounds. Keep your range in the first too. But Torres, man, I don't think he's going to allow that. I really don't. I think when Fiziev is doing his circling around the cage, quick on his feet, leg kick, leg kick, leg kick. Ooh, teep, ooh, way, ooh, way. I think that Torres is just going to wait. I think it's going to be the same thing as Ruffy, man. Where Ruffy was getting hit way more than he was hitting Fiziev, because Fiziev's a more active guy. But I think that he's found that right hand, and I think that Torres is also going to find that cross. In his last 2 wins, both of them have been by a cross. And Fiziev's last fight, he lost via cross. And I think that on one of these low kicks, Torres is going to time Fiziev, and I think that he's going to lay him out fucking cold in the first 2 rounds. And I fucking hate to say that, because I really like both these guys, and I really like Fiziev, and I don't want people to slander my goats. But Fiziev does have ways to win this fight, and that's drag it long, as I said previously, but I don't know if he's going to be able to drag it long. I really don't. It's a really quick turnaround after a devastating KO loss. Maybe he's trying to prove something to himself. Maybe he needs the money. I don't know. I think this is a fucking matchup of doom for Fiziev, and I think that he should have dropped a weight division and taken some time off. But anything can happen, man. It's the fight game. We have fucking Justin Gaethje at 37 years old as the undisputed champ. Sean Strickland, 35 years old, as the undisputed champ. So anything can happen. Fiziev can't take him long, but I don't think he will. Torres by KO within the first 2. Now, that has been my entire picks and predictions for this week. I will be dropping the best bets video tomorrow, so I do guarantee you that. Let me know down below in the comments who you think is going to win in the main event. And please subscribe, like, and comment, because look forward to the content that's coming out, guys. It's going to be fucking fire. Lazy MMA, lazy analysis, serious results.